Hi, it's Pat Duckworth, a hot woman with cool solutions and the author of Hot Women Rock, the international bestseller. I just love saying that. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who supported the book launch. And very shortly, we'll be launching the audiobook. So if you'd like to have all the stories read to you, this will be your opportunity. But to celebrate that, I'm talking to my co-authors because these hot women have such amazing stories. They're all very different. The point at which they made a change, just so many different stories. And I'm just loving sharing it. This is just such a treat to talk to all these wonderful women. And today my guest is from Canada. And it is Brenda Jacobson, and she started out as a financial executive and had a very successful career as a financial executive and a business strategist. And this is all stuff from the head, you know. And Brenda developed a passion for optimizing the potential of people. And after exploring that topic for over 20 years, it's led to her to focus on helping people create whole life health and vitality, and bridging the gap between their current challenges and the life of their dreams. And when I first met Brenda, we were just talking over Skype, and she was about to travel off to India because she wanted to explore this so much more. And with all of the stories that women have told me, those stories have carried on. They wrote their story for the book at a moment in time, and everything has developed since. But Brenda, I'm going to be talking to you about your story. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Pat. I'm really excited about being here with you.
So you having this successful career as a financial expert, executive, and then tell us what that point was in your life where everything changed.
You know, for me, it took a long time to change because every aspect of my life changed. My marriage ended and my sister passed away, and all of this stuff happened at once. So it took a number of years for me to actually get out of that left brain, really logical, rational career that was really safe for me and move into something else. And it really took a very traumatic event to move me there. As you know, I fell down a mountain, and that was really where I finally let go of that past and moved into who I know myself to be now.
Yes, that's a huge thing. I mean, physically, mentally, emotionally, I mean, that must have been a huge shift for you.
Yeah, on all levels. It really required me. I went into a cocoon for about 3 years to recover from that. And I tell people I went in as a caterpillar, knowing how that caterpillar fit into the world, and I came out as a butterfly. And that I came out about the end of 13 was when I really stepped into a new normal in my life. And I'm still trying to figure out how that butterfly fits into the world.
It's an ongoing story, isn't it? We all just keep developing and finding new aspects. So you went off to India. Was that late 2015 that you went?
It was. I went from about mid-November and got back at the end of February.
Yeah. And how did that change what you're doing now?
You know, I think that there's so many things that happened all at once that changed that. It kind of, it helped me to let go of what was going on here. I had never been away from Calgary for more than 3 weeks in my entire life. I've done a fair bit of traveling, but never more than 3 weeks. So to go into a different environment, a different country, different culture for 3 months was, I really had to disconnect from what life looked like here. So it really was a starting point for me to really launch forward.
And tell us about that launching forward. What are you doing now?
Well, what I'm doing now makes absolutely no sense to my left brain. But the really big shift for me is everything I'm doing is coming from the heart. And my left brain is still very strong, and it keeps kicking in going, what are we doing? I have no idea what I'm doing. What I am doing is drawing on my passion for developing whole, undiminished people That started when I was in the corporate world, understanding that if I was going to meet any of my targets, I really had to optimize every individual on my team. And each of those individuals needed something different. Where I really solidified that learning was in my recovery after falling down the mountain. I really had to rebuild every level of my life. My body completely broke down. I went into a depression, so emotionally I was a wreck. It affected my brain, so I couldn't process numbers. It was the part of my brain that it hit. So you take a finance executive that cannot even figure out how to work a calculator to process numbers. And so the belief systems that kicked it, everything had to be revamped. But through that, I came out with such an understanding of what people are going through on every level, no matter what level their challenges are at. And so what I'm doing now, because my passion really is corporate still, I'm actually developing a video game to take into corporate leaders to help them develop their people holistically. So looking at, what their inner gifts are, the personality assessments, belief repatterning, emotional work, developing emotional intelligence, of course, making sure that they're physically healthy, because I learned the hard way that without the body, there's nothing else much matters. But they're also interconnected. So that's my new challenge. And I have never played a video game in my life. I am a challenge to every tech person on the planet. I've worked technology and they all think that I was put here to test their patience and their skill level. So what I'm doing here is not a logical, rational process by any means.
But it involves all that creativity, doesn't it? It's about just really firing up your creativity, and once you're having fun with it, you can do anything.
Well, absolutely. And I came across a quote in some of the stuff I was looking at, and it said, because so often I would say, why me? Like, why am I being drawn to do this? I don't have what it takes. I don't have the skills. And I came across this quote that said, God doesn't call on the qualified, God qualifies the ones he calls on.
Wow.
I thought wasn't that powerful? Yeah. And I thought, okay, that's me. That's me. When you follow from the heart, which is foreign territory for me, but I'm getting comfortable with it. I just know that the right people come along, the teachers come along, the project I've taken on is certainly not a one-man operation or one-woman operation. People are showing up that have skills that I don't have.
Yeah.
And so it really is moving.
I think this corporate work's really interesting. I had a boss who wasn't the most touchy-feely of people, he wasn't that in touch with himself. But I remember him saying to me, power is an illusion in organizations. He said, as you aspire further up in management, you always think that power is above you. And then you get to a certain level and you realize it's all below you, because the people who work for you are the ones who give you influence. And so he said, whatever you think you are, you're never going to be in power, and you're always going to think it's somewhere else. So what you're saying about developing people, it's just so important.
It is. And I have had that conversation many times with CEOs that were on my executive team. And I held the chief financial officer title for most of my career. And I remember saying to them, don't push me, because I'd get rid of you before I get rid of the receptionist. Because I can replace you. I can't replace her. She knows everything. It was about the people. And I was the kind of, and this is very strange for a CFO to be telling the executive team, quit focusing on the dollars. Focus on your people, because the people drive the dollars, and they just didn't get that.
No.
That's a source of frustration for me.
Yeah. So this is Pat Duckworth, the hot woman with cool solutions and the author of the #1 international bestseller, Hot Women Rock. And I'm talking to one of my wonderful co-authors, Brenda Jacobson from Calgary. So I'm going to move on to talking about the model that I've used in the book, which is of neurological levels. And the very top neurological level is your sense of purpose. It's that part of you that reaches out to the outside world. It is that which is greater than you. So the other levels are really all about you. But when you're talking about your purpose, if it was an organization, it would be the chief executive. So the chief executive needs everything underneath working well, but without that sense of purpose, what does everybody do? Where do they think they're going? So you've already talked about this in terms of your passion. So how did you kind of get in touch with your passion and your purpose?
You know, I think, to be honest with you, I'd have to say it got in touch with me.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a path that I went down willingly. When it started moving in on me, it really rocked my world. And I resisted for a long time. And then I fell down the mountain. And then where I really moved really to engage the heart and get out of the head was I did a 10-day silent meditation retreat called Vipassana. And it was about getting into the whole body. And it was during that process that my mind just kind of finally gave up its hold over the heart. And coming out of that, I just couldn't do anything but follow the heart, even with the protest of the mind. But it really tapped me into what, even without the rationally understanding it, how good it feels to be on purpose, even though you might not understand what that purpose is or where it's leading to. But following that every day has been a real awakening for me.
So how do you keep in touch with it in your work? Do you still meditate on this, or is it just coming through in everything you're doing?
Both. I meditate every day. I usually try to do an hour in the morning, and I have very good intentions to do an hour at night, but I never do. I usually fall asleep if I try to go much past, 30, 40 minutes, but really tapping in through that and opening up the body. And I don't really go in there with any kind of a purpose or an ask or anything. It really is just about settling the mind and getting that mind under control and calming it is really my big challenge. Because once that happens, the other stuff is in you. It's there. If you can get that mind out of the way, the rest of the stuff just bubbles up.
Fantastic. So if you were talking to other midlife women who are thinking of making a move and they're not sure what their purpose is there one bit of advice that you'd give to them?
My strongest tool, there's so many tools that I've used over the years, but really the strongest one is sitting still. For people who are new to meditation, the best place to start is just focusing on the breath.
Yeah.
Just deep breathing. And you don't have to do it for a long time. You don't have to do it for an hour. 5 minutes a day of deep breathing, of controlling your breath. And when you get used to the breathing, just attaching a really positive emotion to that. Think about, I think about my grandkids and how much fun I have with them, or anything that just makes your heart open while you're breathing. But you can do that. You don't have to be sitting in silence. You can do it in the shower. You can do it on the bus. You breathe anyways. You just might as well do it consciously. That is such a profound impact on people.
Do you know, it's one of the first things I teach most of my clients. As a therapist, I get people coming with all sorts of issues, whether it's weight loss or confidence or stopping smoking or phobias. Honestly, the first thing I do is teach them to breathe mindfully.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
It's extraordinary how quickly they start to feel calmer and more relaxed and more able to deal with stuff, because once you're breathing and you're feeling calm, you get all that functionality of the brain. If you start to get tense and anxious, bits of the brain just shut down. So you've just got to open it up with the breathing and feeling relaxed.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. And it's probably the number one key thing to help anybody start moving, because it does stimulate the body. We need oxygen in our body, and human beings naturally are very shallow breathers. So we don't oxygenate our blood in our body the way it's meant to be. So just by bringing that oxygen into the body, your energy level jumps up. And when you have energy, your emotions come up with them.
Yeah.
And like you said, it has the same, it has very strong impacts on the brain, like the whole body, just by breathing consciously. So it's a beautiful strategy.
It is. I mean, one of the things, I'm not very good at sitting still. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I'm not good at sitting still. And so one of my favorite ways of being mindful is that I practice Tai Chi. And for a lot of this year, people have been telling me about setting intentions. You've got to set an intention. So I would start to do my Tai Chi and I would set the intention of something. And inevitably, my brain would start giving me exactly the opposite of what I'd set the intention for, like it was having a joke,
Yeah.
And I mentioned this to somebody else, and she said to me, why don't you try being intentionally unintentional? And I thought, yeah, that's a bit of a challenge. So when I start, I think, there is no intention. I'm being unintentional.
Yeah.
And somehow that just releases you, because now I'm not having to focus in on something. I'm just letting whatever happens happen. And for me, that feels a lot easier than having an intention,
Absolutely, absolutely. And the whole point of resting and opening yourself up to your purpose or to some higher power is to get the mind quieted.
Yeah.
And asana was, we meditated for 12 hours a day, and it was total silence. And the whole point of Vipassana is focusing your mind, bringing your mind back from, wherever it goes. When you do that, you notice how, really you can last for a couple of seconds before the mind dithers off to think about something, and then going, oh, that's where it went. And it wasn't about right or wrong. It was like, oh, look what I'm doing now. Let's focus back on my breath. And then 2 seconds later, it's like, oh, now look where I'm at. Focus on my breath. But, you don't have to do that for 12 hours a day. Doing that for a few minutes a day and just being aware of where your thoughts are taking you, it really makes you realize how distracted you are through so much of your day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great tip. So mindfulness, even if you're only spending a few minutes a day, just focusing on your breathing, becoming aware of it. I normally teach my clients longer out breaths, so they're triggering their parasympathetic system just to calm them down. Something that I do every day now, morning and at night, doesn't take me long, and this is as close as I get to meditation apart from my Tai Chi, is I put my hands over my heart when I wake up in the morning, and I send out gratitude for the day, for the people that I'm going to meet that day. I've already sent gratitude to you because I was going to be speaking to you, and gratitude for the colors outside and all of that. And then at the end of the day, before I go to sleep, I do the same thing. And I send out thanks to everybody I've interacted with that day. Just, that simple act of gratitude and thanks, I just think puts me in a much better place to deal with my business and everything else.
Absolutely. And there's science behind that. For those that need that rational left brain thing, the science is catching up with us on that.
Yeah.
The gratitude is such a high vibrational energy that it does cause different biochemical reactions in your body that have been proven with science. So,
Brenda, if any of the people watching this would like to work with you or make contact with you, how can they do that? How can they find more out about you?
Well, my website that I'm currently working with on this is wolfwindawakening.com.
Lovely.
And my email is brenda@wolfwindawakening.com. So that's love to hear from people.
Yeah. Even if it's just getting a response to what you've been talking about, that would be fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with me. I'm just who are watching Hot Women Rock, How to Discover Your Midlife Entrepreneurial Mojo. It's now available as a Kindle, as a paperback, and as an audiobook. And there are special free bonus gifts that are available from the hotwomencoolsolutions.com website. So you can pick up your workbook there and a guided relaxation meditation on the neurological levels and how to align yourself. So thank you for being here with us. And I look forward to the next conversation with the next hot woman.
Oh, I look forward to hearing all of these.